Welcome back to Tottenham on Tour's world famous Christmas Advent calendar. We seem to have done it again. We've got 3 people on the show on a Christmas Advent calendar that don't celebrate Christmas. What have we done? What have we done? We've really got to do this better. Joining myself and Mr. Daigle, we've got Ian, Mr. Lubo's in the house. How are you doing?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, good morning.
Listen, our family have a nice turkey meal on Christmas Day.
So do ours.
Great turkey.
Yeah. So do ours. It's got to be
a bit of cranberry. Excellent.
Yeah. Excellent. But Mr. Daigle, how are you today, sir?
Yeah, I'm good. I managed to sleep in today and slept in to a whopping 5:30. That's people that watch our show. No, that is like a Sunday lay-in, and I'm going to go back to bed straight after this.
Great stuff. How are you doing this morning, Mr. Lubo?
I'm good, thanks. I'm good. Had a good trip to Forest, albeit a long one there and a long one back, but it was good. Good result. Dug it out. Stood firm when we had to and scored at the right time.
There we go.
Great stuff. It's the magic of television that we don't know, but people don't know when we've recorded this. So I don't know, but it was a long journey back for you, Ian. If it took you 5 days to get home,
it's probably a long time to get home.
It took you a long time to get home. But
you have to edit this.
It is.
A bit of editing going on now, Ben.
No editing required. Look, it could take 5 days. It could take 5 days on UK travel.
Required. But it is the Tottenham on Tour Christmas Advent calendar. How do we start this? With a Christmas cracker joke, and we always start with our guests. So, Mr. Lubo,
fair enough. Bearing in mind the East Anglian derby that was last week.
Yeah. What is your Christmas?
What does a farmer get for Christmas? A calculator.
We've already done that one.
No, we haven't.
I did that one.
Okay.
Done it again.
Yeah, we'll have it double.
Over to you.
I've got. Here we go. Let's do it. What Christmas carol do parents love most? Silent Night. Bum.
That's really awful.
Oh, it is. I'm going. Listen, Ben. It's day 22. The fact that we've been able to do this 22 times.
Yeah.
We know what's terrible now. I don't think I want to hear another Christmas cracker joke for the rest of my life.
Never again. And finally. What is a pirate's favourite type of YouTube video?
Tottenham on Tour.
No.
Oh, okay. Go on.
Got an answer?
Nope.
No idea.
ASMR.
Christ. Yeah. Let's. I mean, the jokes were bad. Yeah, and looking at these players today, we've got a mixed bag. As you know, it's very hard when we get to this time of year, or this number now. We're not exactly talking people of the past; it's more people of the recent past. But we're starting with a little cracker. Andy Sinton, a player that's actually won a trophy at this club. Ben, over to you.
I don't remember anything of Andy Sinton at all. He joined in 98, I believe it was, from what I remember, joined in 1998. So
96.
So I was a whopping 1 year old when Andy Sinton joined Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. And I probably saw him a couple of times because I was going to the off game with my parents when I was 4 years old when we won the League Cup. So, yeah, Andy Sinton won a trophy at Tottenham. Like we've been saying this entire video, we've got to give a respect to anyone that's won a trophy with Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, and he is certainly one of them. He had a trophy.
I'm trying to remember because he was a favourite of Jerry Francis, wasn't he, at QPR?
Yep.
And Francis brought him to Spurs in '96, and I remember he scored that lovely goal against Sunderland's.
My one thing I remember. There we go.
Weird left of the box and hit the far corner. And I remember he came on in the '99 League Cup final. I'm trying to remember because I think he replaced Ginola. I'm trying to think because Nielsen
scored. Imagine that. You take
Nielsen scored last minute, didn't he?
Andy Sinton.
That's
That's a Christmas cracker joke for the ages.
Yeah.
Take off Ginola for Andy Sinton.
There you go. But I think we scored straight after. if my memory serves me correctly. I think Alan Nilsson scored straight after.
Thanks to Stefan.
So he came away with a medal, didn't he?
He goes into the Hall of Fame, and it's a very
and not too many players have come away with a medal in the last 30 years, have they?
No.
Well, do you know what? Me and Ben were speaking with our friend Nick yesterday, and it worked out that if Phil Foden wins 6 more trophies in his career, he's won more than Spurs have in their history. So that just goes to show with that. But do you know what? I've just remembered another Andy Sinton goal. You should remember this one, Ian. North London derby, Highbury, hit the post, hit the keeper's head, and went in. The day when Bergkamp scored that incredible goal, and Tony Adams of all people. Andy Sinton, I remember him more at QPR than I do at Tottenham. He was devastating at QPR, and I can see why we bought him. But this is the kind of pool of players we were attracting, the mighty Andy Sinton. And do you know what? We're going to move on to him, to probably one of my favourite ever Spurs players. He would make my top 10 because I love Tommy Huddleston. I loved this man, Ben.
He was a brilliant footballer, Tom Huddleston. Vastly underrated at his time. Long time as well. He was there in quite a few eras. He was there under Martignol. He won a trophy under Juan de Ramos in the League Cup final and was a mainstay in Harry Redknapp's midfield for a long time before he started getting loads of injuries, which is when he slowed down because he could no longer cover the ground he used to. But what a pass on him. Whenever he came on, he pulled the strings. I mean, he was playing with Luka Modric, and he was the one pulling the strings. That's how good his passing rate was. Wicked shot on him. That Man City goal where he absolutely smashed it from 25, 30 yards. He had an absolute bullet on him. Arsenal, another one outside the box. Just finessed it on the outside of his foot into the back of the net. He was an absolute marksman when he wanted to be. But mostly known for his passing, his dictating of a game. And was it the game where Bale did that, had his hat trick? Huddleston was the captain that night. From what I remember, Huddleston was actually the captain.
You're talking about Inter Milan?
San
Siro. I believe he might have been the captain at one point. But what a servant for this football club. I'm not sure. We've got all the stats off of Wikipedia. I think he played more than 144 for Tottenham from what I remember.
Do you mind if I 209, 31 goals, 28 assists.
31 goals?
31 goals and 28 assists.
You're wrong, Wikipedia.
And what do you remember about him?
The thing I remember about Huddleston is that his passing was it was the first player to play in a similar style to Hoddle after Hoddle. And the control and weight of pass was just tremendous. And I think all he was lacking was pace. If he'd have had pace, he'd have been world class. He was that good. And unfortunately, he just didn't have that extra bit of speed off the mark. But his passing was just sublime. I mean, I sort of flicked through the goals before and looked on YouTube, and I look at the goals at Fulham, Arsenal, Sunderland, Bolton. I mean, there was some, as you said, there were strikes from like 30 yards, 25, 30 yards, and they were hit so cleanly, and the keepers never got near them.
Yep.
They were mostly daisy cutters as well, weren't they? They weren't like smashes in the top corner. They were like on the floor, like arrows.
They were like arrows, exactly right.
So Ian's taken my Sunderland goal from Sinton. He's taken my best pass from the ball since Glenn Hoddle. So what I will say, in my lifetime, Hoddle, Huddleston, Kane, the 3 best passes I've ever seen in a Spurs shirt. That is an illustrious. This guy was.
I think you can add Modric to that as well.
Yeah. No, if I'm adding anyone to that, I'm adding Gaza to it. Probably Modric. Right, let's have a top 5. Let's have a top 5. But if there's a top 3, it's those 3. And like Ian alluded to, again, his shots. You did not want to get in the way of one of his shots. People talk about that how crisply he hit that volley or half volley in the 3-3. against Arsenal. He did it against Manchester City from further. But the goal that I always reminded of, and again, his goal against Bolton when we got Champions League football, there's only one place in the goal that ball could get. And when you talk about postage stamp, you just look at that goal. If this man just didn't have his injuries,
yeah,
that was the week before Man City, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the match before City. It was was it 1-0, I think?
1-0 win, and that was the only shot. We were bad that day, and he had that one chance. And I tell you what, if this guy could have stayed injury free, one of the biggest units you will ever see.
Yeah.
Absolutely love this man. Brought him in from Derby, and even then people like, who's this guy? This guy, like you said, you talk about Bale, the way to pass. Just go look at that 3-1. Defoe scores that incredible goal. Bale makes it 3-1 with that little lofted, but the little pass from Tom Huddleston, it like Ian said, and like you said, his weight of pass, his range of pass was incredible. I would have loved this guy to have stayed at Spurs the rest of his career. I absolutely loved
he was brilliant.
Tommy Huddleston. And
he
we're going to move
the place, didn't he? And you know, when you, I think he lost his place, didn't he, when you had Parker and Modric in the middle, didn't you? With Lennon and Bale wides, and that's I think that's because he left in 2013.
Not a bad partnership to lose out to. Not a bad partnership to lose out to.
Pretty good.
Then we're going to go on from a player that I love.
Back in the League Cup final, didn't he, Tom Huddleston?
He used to play all over for us. He would go anywhere for us.
When someone went off at no,
Huddleston was playing. I think Huddleston played. I think it was number 6 in that. He didn't have the 22 shirt.
That's where he was.
Luca played at 20. He had the 22 shirt, didn't he?
Well, you just mentioned the next player, and do you know what it is? I'm going to say it right now. It will come to me obviously at the end. I think this is one of the most overrated players we've ever had.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But over to you, Ben.
I am a massive fan, not because of his footballing ability, because he just was a really... I had the pleasure of meeting Charlie, as Harry called him, on many occasions. He was a really lovely bloke. The first time we met him, we was at the Spurs shop by a former friend of mine. He messaged me like the week before, Modric and Luka are going to do a signing at the Spurs shop. Do you want to go? So we went, and my poor mum, I think I've got the hat somewhere. I should have prepared this, but I used to have one of those jester hats, with the bells on it, that my mum silly bought me for the League Cup final. They were really like they were not happy being there. You could see how like they were. It was almost like it was a chore to be there. But my poor little mother brings this little jester hat and gives it to Luka and Modric, and you'll sign it. And their face just lit up as they were signing every single bit of it. I'll have to show you the picture of it. It was so funny how that little silly thing of my mum just being just a really silly Jewish woman just like made them happy. And they used to go to, after football matches, they used to go to Zizi's in Loughton, which is one of my local restaurants. And you'd always see them quiet as a mouse, never misbehaved, absolutely solid professionals. But I think his best game in a Spurs shirt was when Harry Redknapp put him at left back against Liverpool. And he scored that day from what I can... he either scored or he made an assist that day. He was absolutely sensational when you needed him to be. And I always had a massive amount of respect for him, especially after the AC Milan game. And Flamini, absolute waster, 2-footed tackled him and broke his leg. He was a soldier for Tottenham under that Harry Redknapp team, always there. And the only thing that took him out was being literally had someone break your leg because he should have been sent off that day. Flamini, it was an utter disgraceful tackle, but got a massive amount of respect for Luka. He was a warrior for us, and he never put a bad performance in.
Go on in.
You're right. He was a warrior. It was interesting because I remember when he joined, just sort of looking up and seeing that he played for Croatia. I think at virtually every schoolboy at every level from under 15 or under 16 upwards, and he was a decent fullback. I think Walker did Walker take his place?
Yeah,
was it Walker who took his place? He was okay. It wasn't fantastic, Yeah, he was okay. He was,
Solid.
he was one of the three of them with Kranjčar and Modric.
That's the thing.
Yeah, Harry liked the Croatians, didn't he? And the goal he scored was at Villa. I think there was a cross, and I think he came in at the far post and with a far post header. Funny enough, I think from the left back position he came in. But other than that, it was just a good, solid pro.
Yeah, I think I'm going to retract my saying of most overrated ever, but just say I found him highly overrated.
Mm-hmm.
Ben, I'm sure as a person he was wonderful.
Yeah,
I thought he was so slow.
he was
So slow. And this is when the fullback started evolving to get forward a bit more, and the space he left behind defensively, he could do a job. But whilst the game was evolving, and he used to run he had a running style that just wound me up personally. No offense, Verdon, if you are watching. Listen, like you said, solid player. You knew kind of what you were going to get. There's so many people that used to wax lyrical about how good this guy was. And I was like, listen, like Ian alluded to, the Croatians, listen, Modric, class of his own. I loved Kranjčar, loved him.
Kranjčar should have been at Tottenham a lot longer.
Yeah, but sure, Luka just wasn't. And do you know someone who should have been Spurs a lot longer? And I actually say out of the Magnificent Seven, this guy will go down as a success for me, and I wish he'd stayed longer. Good old Nasser. Ben, over to you with Nasser.
We replaced the Croatian boys with the Belgian boys with
didn't we?
Jan, Toby. There was a Musa. We had a lot of Belgian players. That's when this Belgian generation came in that's sort of now fizzled out. A great generation of players, which is why I didn't really get as many Belgian appearances as possible, because that team, imagine you're competing for left wing with Eden Hazard. You're not going to win, are you? And that was Hazard in his pomp. He was a great little player, Chadley. Speedy, great shot. The one against Newcastle was an absolute rocket.
That was his last goal, I think, for us. That was the last one.
I think the Sunderland volley was.
But the game we all remember, we're all going to remember it, that game against Chelsea, the 5-2, which was the day Harry Kane was a good striker. That's when Harry Kane became the king of White Hart Lane against the Chelsea, especially. But he scored an excellent goal that day on the break.
Yeah.
Very, very good little player for Tottenham. Again, he should have played longer. I'm surprised he fell out of favour under AVB, right? From what
it was under Poch.
No, it was under Poch. It was under Poch. I mean,
he couldn't press to the intensity that Pochettino wanted him. He couldn't press to the intensity he wanted, which is why he fell out to Christian Eriksen, who came into the team then, and that created that magnificent front four of Kane, Eriksen, Dele, and it was the fourth one again. Oh, who cares? But that front four that
Son, Dele, Eriksen, Kane.
That was the one. Sonny. How the hell we forget Sonny of all people? But that was what did him in. Unfortunately for Chadley, that is the story of his career, of being replaced by world-class players. He was a good player, but he was never at that upper echelon. But he had a massive love for Tottenham, and he loved it when Tottenham fans started calling him the Dolphin, because, as we all know, Nasser Chadley absolutely loved dolphins. So.
Well, he first impressed Spurs. Funny enough, he scored in both games when we reached the Champions League.
Yeah.
Under Harry, we played against 20 in the group stages. And he scored in both games. I remember being behind the goal in Holland, and he scored, I think it was a last-minute equaliser, something like that.
Yeah.
When we drew 3-3 there, and he scored the goal when we beat them 4-1 at the Lane. I always remember the goal he scored at the Emirates.
Yeah,
it was a lovely goal. Came on and put it the side of his boot into the corner, and. Yeah. I think what lost it for him, the Poch brought him in at West Ham the year that Leicester beat us to the title.
Yeah.
And he was at fault with a goal. He gave the ball away. He ended up in a corner. They scored from the corner. He lost his man. We ended up losing 1-0, and Leicester never looked back, because if we'd have won that day, we'd have gone top. That was the only time that we could have gone top the whole season.
Robert Hoof.
I was there.
And it was a poor performance, because he left out Walker and Rose and played Trippier and Davis. Then Benny was missing as well that day, and it all went wrong. And unfortunately, I think Chadley was probably the scapegoat for the defeats.
Yeah.
I don't think he ever recovered he didn't recover his Spurs career after that, and he left soon after.
He did. I mean, for me, he had power, he had pace, he could finish. He really looked like he was going to do the business for us. And
he always sort of flattered to deceive, didn't he?
Yeah, he did it. He was like a purple patch player. There was a game where he could be absolutely electric, and the next he'll go missing. But
yeah,
I so wanted him to succeed. I must admit, when we first bought him, I was at work, and someone came up and said, "You signed another player with the Bow money. Bow's definitely got us." Like, who? And he went, "That's a Chadley." And I repeated the same word. I said, "Who?" And I had to go. I had to Danny Rose him.
Yeah,
but I loved him, and wish he would have stayed longer. But so be it. But the last person on this listing, let's just say, if there was to be a 2024 Tottenham Hotspur calendar of players women loved, a lot of people would want this guy's picture every single month. Paolo Gazzaniga, who ironically on day 22 only played
22 games.
In 4 years. In 4 years.
And I feel sorry for Paolo. I feel sorry for him. He was brought in as the third choice keeper. He only really had a couple of games when Hugo Lloris was not fit, and he was a bit of a lunatic. I think most goalkeepers are lunatics. We're learning that now with Vicario, that he can be a bit of a lunatic. But you need to be a controlled lunatic. And what did Paolo in was that game against Chelsea, where he did what all Tottenham fans really respect. He saw a Chelsea player and he decided to kick him in the face. So he's got a massive love for every single Tottenham fan. But in the eyes of Jose Mourinho, who doesn't want his players to do really silly things, he got sent off for absolutely no reason. There was no reason to get sent off in that game. But nah, I'm just going to Eric Cantona him. Just full-blown karate kick in the face, kung fu movie, whatever you want to call it. He wasn't a great goalkeeper. And that was really his highlight of his career, when he kicked someone. But
I think what was interesting for me with Gazzaniga, I mean, he pushed Vorm into when he came in. Vorm was number 2. Yeah. By the time he finished, Vorm was number 3. But there's one game I remember. I'm sure it was Gazzaniga. We played Palace on the Sunday at Wembley. Yeah. After we beat Real Madrid 3-1 in the Champions League on the Wednesday night, and he was fantastic. And it was a bit like after the Lord Mayor's show, and Spurs were awful, and we won 1-0. I'm sure it was Sonny that scored.
It was Sonny outside of the club.
And Gazzaniga kept us in the game. I mean, he literally beat Crystal Palace single-handed. And he was superb. And that was, for me, the one match with Gazzaniga that I remember. And he was always reliable. There was not, he was a decent number 2, but obviously he wanted more. I think he was a decent
number 2. He was really solid until that Chelsea moment. And
I honestly think he could have been number 1. But the thing is, what we did with the whole 10 years of Hugo is we didn't give him any competition. We just signed players to say, right, if he's injured, if he's suspended, we'll just tuck you in. You're not going to get any game time whatsoever. I think Gazzaniga could have been something. And as Ian alluded to, he had another game like that against Liverpool. I thought he was a great keeper. I really do. But when you play 1 or 2 games every 2 years because Lloris is out, or you're in a cup game that you're resting for, you're it's all well and good going to training every single day. But I mean, obviously he's moved on. He hasn't really kicked on anywhere. No. But I think he is the foundations of an incredibly good goalkeeper, and it's just a shame. I hope he does get a good team and he does get first team, because I think he's got all the attributes to be a great keeper.
My memory serves me correctly. The only proper run he had was it when Lloris broke his elbow?
At Brighton, tail end of Poch.
That was the only time that he played, and then Jose took over, didn't he?
Yep.
A few weeks,
Correct.
literally 6 weeks after Brighton.
Exactly. And then Hugo was back, and away we went. But that rounds up 22, Ben. So, Ian, first of all, thank you for joining us on our advent calendar. Where can people find you?
There you go, at Lubo_61. Also,
You want me to do the Johnny?
Cockerel Doodle Doo, and on Spaces. And can I just say, fingers crossed that our latest number 2 comes through and has a fantastic career at Spurs, Brennan Johnson.
Yes. Let's really hope so. I think he will.
Let's not forget.
Ben, where can people find you, obviously, apart from here?
You can obviously find us at the coffee company. We have a wonderful Christmas coffee on the moment. This is going to be debuted on the 22nd. So at this day, it's actually the last day where you can get your Christmas coffee. So if you see this video and you're in the Epping Forest area, come for a coffee, come and get a bag of coffee. But yes, you can still buy the Christmas coffee online after the fact. But yeah, find us there, 8 Broadway, Woodford Green, for all your coffee needs and all your chill content. That's always a bit of fun. But from everyone here over at Tottenham on Tour, we wish you a wonderful festive period. Drink up, have loads of fun times. And it's the day before Everton. So if you're going to the Everton game tomorrow, enjoy yourself. Safe trips up there. Have a great rest of your Christmas. And come on, you
Spurs.